Wahai kebanyakan orang-orang Amerika di luar sana, jangan lagi kamu berbohong dan memfitnah Malaysia seperti ini. Ya, tidak sesuai dengan apa yang kalian katakan. Ya, tolong kalian sekarang waktunya untuk minta maaf. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan berjumpa kembali hari ini masih bersama saya di sini guys ya, di akhir pekan menjelang weekend. Dan apa kabar Anda semua di sana? Semoga dalam keadaan sehat senantiasa. Doa saya tidak pernah henti-hentinya untuk kita semua, semoga dalam keadaan sehat melaksanakan apapun kegiatan pekerjaan hari ini. Semoga sukses, lancar, jaya, diberikan kemudahan, keberkahan oleh Tuhan Yang Maha Kuasa. Amin amin ya robbal alamin. Oke, kali ini ada berita terbaru lagi yang saya reaksi. Entah mengapa kabar itu tidak pernah henti-hentinya datang dari Malaysia. Dan kali ini Malaysia dibahas oleh orang-orang Amerika. Jadi di sini guys, dari tajuknya saya melihat ada 10 kebohongan Amerika tentang Malaysia selama ini. Jadi konsepnya bahwa Amerika ini mengatakan 10 kebohongan tentang Malaysia dari mereka kecil. Salah satunya adalah Malaysia tidak pernah ada di dalam peta dunia. Loh. Kok begitu ya? Kenapa mereka mengatakan bahwa Malaysia tidak pernah ada di dalam peta dunia? Karena mereka tahu selama ini Malaysia itu adalah Indonesia. Jadi doktrin itu selalu saja disebarkan oleh masyarakat orang-orang Amerika selama ini. Jadi banyaklah orang salah paham di Amerika sana guys ya. Dan tadi satu antara 10. Dan yang terakhir ini justru akan sangat mengejutkan guys. Kita saksikan video itu. Let's go.
Americans have absolutely no idea about what life in Malaysia is like, and it only gets more insane every year. And as someone from America but loves to visit Malaysia, there are totally a lot of myths about Malaysia that I grew up believing to be real, but they all turned out to be flat out lies. So today, I want to talk about the top 10 biggest lies that you wouldn't believe how most Americans still believe about Malaysia. So get yourself comfortable and ready because things are about to blow up your mind. And the first lie America kept telling us is that they think Malaysia doesn't even exist. Like talking about Malaysia in front of your American friends will always be the most embarrassing. Where you either get your typical feedback like, bro, that ain't a real place. Also, you went to Mexico, to the most horrendous one like, oh, I know, they have a city called Tokyo. Like, are you kidding me, bro? Even the ones who travel outside of America, the best they can give you is, well, I know it's in Southeast Asia, but I can't point it out on the map. Like, Malaysia seems to be erased from the brains of every American. And you almost never hear the American media talk about anything Malaysia related. But on the other hand, Malaysians know so much about America, it almost shocked me. Like, one time I was casually talking about my life in America, and the locals were like, oh, I know New Jersey and Boston, you have this building and that TV show was famous. And I was like, bro, you know more about America than Americans do. And with Malaysia becoming a superpower in Asia in the upcoming decades, bro, I think it's about time that our lovely American school and media finally let us know more about Malaysia. But come on, you wouldn't see that as a surprise. But studies show you that around 10% of Americans still believe the earth is flat. That's no joke, my neighborhood alone has like 20 of them. But I'm saying, bro, that will not be as horrible as the next American lie you're about to hear. And what a great time to subscribe to this channel if you love the video so far. Because the second lie America kept saying about Malaysia is that it's dangerous to travel to because airplanes would suddenly go missing. First off, I don't like talking about tragedy like missing airplanes, so I'll go over this in the most respectful way possible. But Americans sure love joking about that. It's like you talk to your friends or on social media about how you're traveling to Malaysia, and they all be like, bro, don't go there. Airplanes go missing all the time. Yes, one of them went missing, and yes, they took off from Malaysia, but the reason could be anything. And I don't think it's fair to put all the blame on Malaysia. Now, if you do look up the list of the safest airlines in the world as of 2025, okay, many of them do go in and out of Malaysia. So I don't know about you, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. Now we're on to the third lie that kept saying about Malaysia, and my gosh, is another I'm so embarrassed to talk about. And that is Americans think Malaysia hates Singapore. Or at the very least, there's some sort of national beef going on. Now in real life, do Malaysians love Singapore? And do Singaporeans also love Malaysia back? I would say it's a big yes. Many Malaysians I know love to live and work in Singapore, and many of my Singaporean friends travel to Malaysia almost every year. One of my Malaysian friends put it best. It's like two siblings, you might get mad at one another, but you're still a big family at the end of the day. Although I do have a personal experience, and that's my video comparing living in Malaysia as compared to Singapore. You can check it out later. But in the comment section, I'm telling you bro, you guys have beef over who makes better food and drinks. So I still think it's better to keep both of you apart. But that will never be as mind-boggling as the next thing Americans are told about Malaysia, and that is they think Malaysia is Indonesia. Like, it's always a bit weird to me how most Americans seem to know something about Indonesia, but they would know nothing about Malaysia. Like, when you try to introduce your Malaysian friends in America, you would have to be like, oh, this is my friend, and he came from Malaysia, and you would...
Ada yang aneh di sini guys, karena doktrin dari orang-orang Amerika yang mengatakan bahwa kepada masyarakatnya mereka bilang bahwa Malaysia itu adalah Singapura. Kemudian Malaysia itu adalah Indonesia. Jangan pernah ke Malaysia karena pesawat penerbangan ke sana sering hilang lenyap. Aneh. Kenapa doktrin yang semacam itu, hasutan yang semacam itu masih tetap ada di zaman secanggih dan modern ini guys. Aneh. Okay, play.
Get stuff like, oh, I know Malaysia. You have a place called Bali and it looks like Hawaii. Like, that ain't Malaysia you're talking about, bro. And yes, I know the east part of Malaysia and Indonesia is connected, but still, last time I checked, the two are totally different nations. And it really doesn't help that the language in Malaysia and Indonesia, due to the Bahasa, okay, are like 90% the same based on what the internet says. So it does get confusing, and you might have to like forgive Americans for this one, okay? But confusing Malaysia with Indonesia would never be as irritating as the next lie America told us, and that is Americans believe you need to tip everyone for everything due to the British culture. So when I first came to Malaysia, the travel guide or something outright said to me, bro, you need a tip. They used to be colonized by British people, and they invented the tipping culture, man. So I was like, that's no big deal. Americans also tip for everything, right? But then when the time finally came, and I wanted to tip my Grab driver because he was super nice and helpful, he outright refused to tip, bro. Turns out tipping is not a thing in Malaysia, and I learned that the most embarrassing way, bro. And it becomes confusing because the only way a lot of them American travelers, including myself, bro, the only way we know how to give thanks to you is to give y'all money. And you're telling us, hey, no tipping in Malaysia. Well, now we're stuck because how are we supposed to thank you then? Well, now we're stuck because how are we supposed to thank you then? Now that self-tipping culture never becomes a thing in Malaysia, the same way you would hope for Americans to stop believing in the next American lie, and that is they think only the western part is Malaysia, and the eastern part is Indonesia or the Philippines. Now, I put this at number 6, because even the teachers at your American school would get this wrong. So many travelers seem to believe that the islands you see in Southeast Asia, well, they either belong to Indonesia or the Philippines, bro. Even I came to the state of Sabah believing I was going to Indonesia, bro. But turns out the upper part of the island of Borneo actually belongs to Malaysia. And also some of the best travel destinations that you should totally check out if you haven't already. Also, nobody knows Brunei exists. Like, I said I wanted to visit Brunei, and my friend in America would be like, oh, so you're going to Costco? And no, we're not going to Costco. The same way we ain't gonna believe in the next American lie about Malaysia, and that is they think everyone is Chinese, bro. Not even that. They think everyone in Asia is Chinese, okay? Let's not even talk about Asia, as that would take forever. But in Malaysia alone, you have like the indigenous people called Orang Asli, you have Malays, about half of the total population of Malaysia, and Chinese, Indian, and Filipinos, etc. Bro, Malaysia is probably more diverse worse than America at this point. So for Americans to believe that Malaysia only has like one ethnic group is simply kind of silly. As well as American lie number 8, and that is they think Malaysia is super conservative with little to no democracy. And maybe American travelers would, I don't know, come here to be limited by so many rules to the point they can't even enjoy anything. Bro, politics in Malaysia is in many ways more advanced than Southeast Asia combined. And yes, I know there's a lot of stuff to complain about, but if you look at the past few decades, Malaysia is totally moving in a more democratic way, but America is somehow going backwards into the Middle Ages, bro.
Now, I don't know if it's okay to say this, but a few years ago, if you got into any trouble with the local police, they would say you could like slip in some goodies, you know what I'm saying? And they would pretend they didn't see anything. Now, if that's not the most advanced type of democracy, then I don't know what is.
But now we get to the juiciest part, because Americans may believe in a lot of wrong stuff about Malaysia, but this is when it begins to damage their reputation of Malaysia as a whole. Because at line number 9, bro, they think it's easy to become a citizen of Malaysia. All you need to do is to give the government a ton of money and you can now live in Malaysia for good. Bro, I hate to break it to you, but citizenship in Malaysia is super difficult to get. A lot of people have tried it forever and they still fail. And yes, there's a thing called the Second Home Project, where you get a long-term visa to live in Malaysia, but I think it's only good for 5 years. But the worst American lie of them all will always be lie number 10, and that is they think Malaysia is socialist. And bro, I don't even know what to say. So growing up in America, like a lot of stuff were said about Malaysia by the media, but this one always stuck in the back of my head, since there was always a notion like Malaysia is dangerous for Americans to visit because they're socialists just like Russia and China. So I actually came here expecting to see myself some socialism, bro. But guess what? I stepped into Kuala Lumpur and there was nothing but freedom and capitalism. Bro, like what happened to socialism we're promised by the American media to see in Malaysia?
But just to be fair, Americans believe everyone is socialist, okay? Bro, that's what they taught me at school. Anything outside of America that's not Canada or the UK, everything is socialist. Hey, some guys want to work 4 days a week and then have weekends off. Bro, that is socialist. And we can't have that or anything nice inside the USA.
But hey, the only way to stop the lie once and for all is for all of us to know more about Malaysia, and that is why in the next video, I want to go over why Malaysia is still the most underrated nation.
Wahai kebanyakan orang-orang Amerika di luar sana, jangan lagi kamu berbohong dan memfitnah Malaysia seperti ini. Ya, tidak sesuai dengan apa yang kalian katakan. Ya, tolong kalian sekarang waktunya untuk minta maaf sama praduga kalian terhadap Malaysia yang tidak benar. Malaysia tidak begitu. Ada 10 kebohongan besar Amerika yang mereka katakan kepada seluruh rakyat-rakyat Amerika di sana. Hampir mereka semua paham tentang Malaysia. Salah satunya Malaysia tidak ada di peta. Malaysia itu adalah Singapura. Ada pula doktrin yang menyebutkan bahwa Malaysia itu adalah Indonesia. Jangan ke Malaysia, karena pesawatnya juga sering hilang. Tolong hentikan semua itu sekarang juga. Tetap orang tidak akan percaya dengan bualan-bualan semacam itu yang kalian ciptakan dari dulu. Bahwa orang-orang kalian dari Amerika sana sudah percaya dengan Malaysia karena mereka sudah masuk dan menginjakkan kakinya di negara Malaysia. Mereka ingin tahu, ingin membuktikan sendiri. Ternyata Malaysia tidak seperti 10 kebohongan yang diciptakan oleh Amerika terhadap rakyatnya tentang Malaysia. Ini baru kita membahas tentang Malaysia. Belum lagi Indonesia, belum lagi Brunei, belum lagi Kamboja, Myanmar, Thailand. Apakah ada kemungkinan besar kebohongan-kebohongan lainnya yang mereka ciptakan dari luar sana untuk negara-negara ASEAN ini? Tapi beruntungnya Malaysia tidak terbukti dengan apa yang mereka dugakan selama ini, guys. Ya, 10 kebohongan itu tidak terjadi rupanya. Bahkan sekarang coba kalian hitung, ada berapa jumlah turis asal Amerika yang datang ke Malaysia? Coba dihitung. dihitung dengan jari kalau bisa. Sebanyak apa jumlahnya sampai detik ini. Mereka itu tidak terkontaminasi dengan cerita-cerita palsu yang diciptakan oleh negara mereka sendiri. Karena mereka itu memakai fakta dan logika. Logika mereka main. ASEAN Summit sukses. MotoGP sukses. Apakah ada mereka hilang pesawat yang mereka tumpangi? Apakah ada? Itu semua tidak benar. Apakah mereka tidak tahu Malaysia itu adalah Malaysia dan Indonesia adalah Indonesia? Semenjak mereka ke Malaysia, itu mereka paham dengan hal ini. Ya, bualan-bualan semata yang mereka ciptakan. Mungkin melarang warganya untuk masuk ke ASEAN ini. Tapi semata-mata warganya sudah smart. Tidak bisa dikibulin dengan hal-hal yang semacam itu. Malaysia semakin lama semakin bisa maju, semakin bisa modern, semakin bisa membuka diri. Turis-turis sudah semakin tahu. Ya, tidak ada kekecewaan di hati mereka yang paling dalam tentang Malaysia. Maka itu mereka tidak percaya sama sekali dengan bualan yang diciptakan oleh negara mereka sendiri, yaitu Amerika. Ada 10 loh, bukan main-main. 10 yang mereka ciptakan. Tapi semua itu adalah penipuan. Malaysia tidak seperti apa yang didoktrinkan oleh mereka. Tapi mereka bisa menampik semuanya. Ya. Akhirnya bukti itu bisa terbuka dengan kejujuran, kesederhanaan, dan kepastian Malaysia saat ini. Kena mental semua kan? Akhirnya 10 itu diindikasikan adalah sebuah kebohongan semata. Oke, demikian tadi video aku. Semoga video ini bermanfaat bagi kita semua. Dan aku mohon diri mohon maaf jika ada kesalahan kata. Dan sikap pada Anda semua mohon dimaafkan karena saya hanyalah manusia biasa yang tak luput dari kesalahan. Dan saya akhiri wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.